Oh.
How are you, Susie? You good? No running, no running. Oop.
Come on.
Hey, how's that nap schedule coming along?
Oh, boy. You guys ever thought about bird control? Left, right. There you go.
Welcome home.
Thanks very much, Claire.
Can I ask you, were you a fan of Angry Birds, the game, or, at the height of its madness, were you playing it like the rest of us?
I was a big fan of the classic game. It's just, for me, it was just like so addictive. I would just play it everywhere, in the airport, wherever I happen to be. It's just you'd pull out your phone and there it would be, so... I kind of got to know the icons a little, the iconography of the game a little bit.
And what were the challenges in taking a game and making it into a movie?
I think that the most important thing is to create a great story and great lovable, appealing characters that the audience will laugh at and laugh with.
And obviously, Angry Birds is a huge brand, not only popular with kids, but with adults around the world. Was there an onus on the film being kind of broad in terms of its appeal, so that it kind of brought in everybody?
Absolutely. When we set out to sort of make the story, obviously the brand has global awareness, but the most important thing on our minds was just to create funny, appealing characters. And that's tricky because you're dealing with angry birds, and sort of anger is sort of something that can be highly caricatured in movies, but it's also, for us, it was like just a treasure of comedy gold, that we could mine and sort of explore.
And how kind of strict were Rovio, who obviously created the game and then were producers on the film, in kind of granting the license with their characters for you to kind of expand them?
Well, Rovio partnered with Sony and Columbia to make the movie. So Rovio actually, I worked for Rovio, and we created the movie at Rovio Animation Studios. We set up a studios just to make the movie, and then we partnered with Sony Pictures and Columbia Pictures to bring the movie to the audience, and we also partnered with Sony Pictures Imageworks to build a movie from scratch. So that was our studio, our production studio in Vancouver.
And you seem to have, in your career, very much followed your gut. You turned down a job in an ad agency quite early on to kind of, maintain your sights on the movies. And here you are directing one of the biggest movies this year. What advice would you give to any young animators or filmmakers in Ireland kind of looking to follow your path?
I think the most important advice that I could give is be committed to the idea of being a filmmaker, and don't ever betray yourself. Keep that commitment and keep that trust that that's what you're good at, and that's what will make you happy. And it's like anything in life. If you really commit to the idea of doing it, I think you'll enjoy it, and you'll be successful because you enjoy it.
And what films or cartoons, for that matter, when you were a kid, did you watch it and think, I want to do that? What were your influences?
When I was a child, obviously the Disney movies had a big influence on sort of the storytelling I liked, but I was really drawn to a lot of different kinds of stuff as a child. I loved like the Jungle Book on one hand, but then I loved the Japanese anime stuff, like Gatchaman and Battle of the Planets that they'd play on a Saturday morning, in Ireland. And then I loved the Chuck Jones stuff just for the zaniness and the sort of the artifice of it. It was just so beautifully timed and drawn.
And you've been working in LA now in animation for nearly 20 years, thereabouts. What's been your personal kind of favourite project that you've worked on?
This is obviously has been a real joy for me because, I got to work with my buddy Clay Cadis, and we got to create this movie, and it's come out really the way better than really what we expected it to. Because you're always aware of the limitations that you have, from a technology standpoint or just from a creative standpoint, and we got to make the movie we really wanted to make. So Angry Birds would be number one, and then Iron Giant obviously is very close to my heart, and the Spider-Man 2. I've had a good run of working on
And as
good
you
movies.
say, you co-directed with Clay Catus. How important is it to have like a co-helmer on a project as huge as Angry Birds?
It's brilliant because Clay and myself, it's a marriage, a creative marriage, and when you start making the movie, you want to be with somebody who complements you, from a creativity standpoint. Somebody who's not always going to agree with you, and somebody who brings their own sort of point of view to the table, but also you sort of harness the same vision, So our first conversations, we started to, John Cohn introduced the two of us, and we started to sort of talk about the kind of film that we saw in our heads. And instantly there was a connection. There was a sort of a creative chemistry that was happening in terms of the way we wanted to visualize the game, the experience we wanted the audience to feel. So he's been an amazing partner to have. And we also made the movie relatively quickly. We made it in 2.5 years, and normally a movie this scale and this quality would take double that time at Disney or DreamWorks or Sony, on the big CG animated features.
And in terms of it being, it's a 3D movie, and we've seen lots of kids' movies, in 3D for animation. How much is the 3D element taken into account as you're making the movie, or is it kind of, given that it's Angry Birds and they're flying through the air, or is it something that's kind of thought of after the fact, if you like, with 3D?
It normally is something that's thought of after the fact, but with this movie, because of the nature of the game and sort of the experience that myself and Clay talked about that we wanted the audience to have, we designed it from the very first frame with 3D in mind. So I pre-visualized, with Clay, every single shot, every single sequence, and we always had it in mind. I approached the blocking of it slightly differently than you would in a normal animated film, more live-action approach, more aware of the spatial depth, the sets that we built, because our production designer Pete Oswald designed these amazing world for us, and I was very conscious of the space that I had to play in. It's very much like working with a live action camera.
And as you mentioned live action, you've worked obviously on Spider-Man 2. Could you ever see yourself going into live action directing, or is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for me, the storytelling, it's just another form of storytelling. I've never really equated differences in terms of the craft. I approach an animated movie the same way as I'd approach a live action movie, and it's all about creating the most entertainment for the audience.
And do you see kind of past Angry Birds at the moment, because you're still in the kind of the promotional tour for it, but what's after? What comes next?
I'm reading a lot, and sort of looking at different projects, and I've sort of had my head so buried in Angry Birds that I'm just starting to come up for air now. So it's very exciting to think about what might be next, but I haven't placed any bets yet.
Well, best of luck with it anyway, and best of luck with Angry Birds.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Greetings from my world, the world of the pigs.
What's a pig?
I am a pig. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Oh, where are we going? Wrong way.
Oopsie, not working.
We practice this 100 times.
Oh,
Give it to
man.
me. We're gonna come in again.